It's a hot day in Georgia, and it's the second stop on the Tour de National Championship in the International Drag Bike Association, the Super Nationals at Warner Robbins Dragway, Warner Robbins, Georgia. It is hot. The track is located in the center of a huge wheat field, wheat on both sides. The area of Georgia, middle Georgia, is dry. They're 18 inches short on annual rainfall, and it's June 17th and 18th there at Warner Robbins. The family of motorcycle drag racing is gathering. People like Bobby Baker from over in South Carolina, Dave Schultz and his family way down in South Florida in Fort Myers. People from all over that make together the family of motorcycle drag racing, one of the most exciting sports in the world. Gary Falda from up around the Ohio Valley. Superbike Mike down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You see them all at IDBA national events. George Bryce, funny bike champion in 1985, earned the #1 plate for 86. There's his partner, but they're riding pro stock this year. Captain Hook, oh yeah, he's our pro line boss in IDBA racing. Even-tempered, always mad. Lance Boyer, another superstar of motorcycle drag racing. Getting down to it now, going into the qualifying. Lean back and watch, see what happens. Funny bike qualifying on Saturday wound up with Bobby Baker in his first run off the trailer, becoming #1 qualifier with a blistering 7:45 at 180 miles an hour flat. #2 qualifier was Keith Lynn. Keith is from Wabash, Indiana. His Kawasaki brought him in at a 7:47, 180.36. #3 qualifier, Mr. Gary Falta. Gary's from Covington, Kentucky, right across the river from Cincinnati. A 7:49 at 181.08. #4, Mark Miller from down in South Florida near Cocoa. It's a BML racing team. Bill Hahn's designed bike, 7:49, 183.67. John Baugh from Freeport, New York. #5 qualifier, manager of Orient Express Kawasaki to 7:55 at 174.41. Charles Israel, #6 qualifier from Americus, Georgia. He turned the track at a 7:66, 148.76 to be #6 qualifier. #7 qualifier, Johnny Sands, over from Columbia, South Carolina, on a Honda motorcycle. 7.70 was his qualifying time. #8, Bill Timmons. #9, Dennis Strickland. #10, Steve Tracy. #11, Rusty Quisenberry. #12, Don Raybuck, and #13, Jim Van Dillen. 14 was Larry Reynolds, and 15, Ron Ayers. Funny bike, a tough field in IDBA motorcycle drag racing. Jim Cooper, #1 qualifier in Pro Comp, was from Norwalk, Connecticut, a long drive south on that Orient Express Kawasaki and Performance Workshop machine. He turned in the #1 qualifying time with a 7:78 at 164.53 and was able to nail down a record at a 7:98 before the weekend was over. Steve Drake from Xenia, Ohio, was #2 qualifier. He turned an 8:02 at 166.97 miles per hour for that #2 position. Then Willie Foster. Willie from Pompano Beach, Florida, turned in a 8:09 qualifying time at 162.45. Jim Dodich from down in Orlando, Florida, turned in the #7 qualifying time. Jim rides a Kawasaki and is sponsored by Cycle Tech and Murdoch Racing Enterprises. Harold Wyndham turned in the #8 qualifying time. Harold is from over in Texas, LaPorte, Texas, and Harold qualified with an 8:22 on Sunday morning for that #8 qualifying spot at the bottom of the ladder. #3 qualifier was Neil Lane from Darlington, South Carolina. John Sachs Jr. from way down in South Florida at Fort Lauderdale was #5 qualifier. The #6 qualifier was Floyd Huntz with an 8:21. Floyd is from Buffalo, New York. You're going to meet all these guys in the first round of Pro Comp in just a few minutes. Right now, we're going to go into Pro Stock qualifying and take a look at that over at Warner Robbins, Georgia for the Super Nationals. Here's a man you know, Mr. Superbike Mike Keith, a man who's twice earned the #1 plate in Pro Stock. Superbike is from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and he was #3 qualifier in Pro Stock on his Suzuki. Superbike turned in an 8:42 to be the #3 qualifier at the Super Nationals. Pizza John Mafera was #4 qualifier. Pizza John is from Saddlebrook, New Jersey, and also rides a Suzuki. His time was an 8:46 at 160.24 miles an hour. Russ Nyberg turned in the #5 qualifying time. Russ is from North Fort Myers, Florida. He's sponsored by C&W Cycle Works, MTC Engineering, and many others. He won his first Pro Stock race in Darlington, South Carolina when he was 15 years old. Qualified #5 at the Super Nationals at 86 at Warner Robbins, Georgia with an 8:46 at 158.17 miles per hour. This is his fourth year, I believe, of professional racing in the International Drag Bike Association. George Bryce was number 6 qualifier. You were told earlier that George earned the number 1 plate in funny bike last year. He decided not to ride that plate this year, but to get his big boy britches on. He called it and ride pro stock. George is from Americas, where he is the principal of Star Racing, qualified number 6 in pro stock at Warner Robbins, his home track, with an 846 at 151.51 miles per hour on his Suzuki. Marty Blades, number 7 qualifier at the Super Nationals, an 8:49 was his qualifying time, 153.06 miles per hour. Marty is from Lou Lebanon, Ohio. Number 10 qualifier was Stuart Hamby from Orlando, Florida. He is sponsored by Cycle Tech. Other qualifiers were number 11, Lance Boyer from Reynoldsburg, Ohio, on a Suzuki with an 8:64 at 151.77 miles per hour. Number 13 qualifier, Dave Schultz. Dave is one of everybody's favorites. The Schultz family has been awarded the First Family of the Year trophy in the International Drag Bike Association because of their family involvement. Dave rides a Kawasaki, is from Fort Myers, and is sponsored by his family company, Dave's Carburetor Service. Let's go now to funny bike eliminations, round 1 on Sunday morning at the Super Nationals. In the right lane, there is Bobby Baker taking a solo run, a 7:41, 183.79, make that 29 miles per hour with a reaction time of a .638. Now here's another solo for John Baugh. Looks like his competition didn't show. That was Don Raybuck from Fairfax, Virginia. John lays down a good time on this run. Watch that turbo go whop, 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 and he's gone. Going to stop the clocks for you at a 7:44. 175.43 miles per hour with a sleepy reaction time of .778. That reaction time is the difference in the time between the time that the green light comes on and the rider leaves the starting line. Third lap in funny bike at the Super National. Steve Tracy in the left lane, Gary Falta in the right. Steve is from Evansville, Indiana, Gary from Covington, Kentucky. Right lane first out of the gate. But at the finish line, it is left lane the winner. Steve Tracy with a 7:93 at 173.41 against Gary Falta's 8:40 at 164.23. Now Larry Reynolds in the left lane and John Sands in the right lane. You got a Honda from Columbia, South Carolina in the right. From Plymouth, Ohio, that Kawasaki in the left. And John Sands was not able to leave the starting line. Larry Reynolds at the finish on a solo at 9:08 shutdown run, not having to run very hard, but turning in an excellent miles per hour. Keith Lynn now in the right lane. Dennis Strickland broke and was not able to make the pass. Keith got an unearned solo. Stopped the clocks at the end of the quarter mile at a 7:59, 178.902. Charles Israel and Jim Van Dillen. Jim in the left lane, Charles Israel from Americus, Georgia, almost his hometown track, in the right lane. Both of them turbo bikes. You hear them going whoop, 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 trying to catch that turbo on the top end. At the finish line, it's Charles Israel's run all the way. Jim Van Dillen broke just out of the gate. Charles turned a 7:53, 160.14 miles an hour. 2 more passes coming up. Rusty Quisenberry in the left lane, slept on the line, and it turned out to be Mark Miller's run. 7:62 for Mark Miller to win at 185.18 against an 8:81 at 108 miles an hour. Now Ron Ayers got a solo when Bill Timmons broke. Bill was not able to make it to the line, and Ron Ayers took a solo in the first round of funny bike. Taking it easy on an unearned solo run. 8:54, 155.44 miles an hour with a reaction time, oh boy, 854 thousandths of a second. So your first round winners, Bobby Baker, Steve Tracy, Keith Lynn, Mark Miller, John Ball, Larry Reynolds, Charles Israel, and Ron Ayers. Now into pro stock. Left corner of your screen, George Babor of Clearwater, Florida, defeated Terry Osmus of Belleville, Michigan, with an 8:46, 157.61 to an 8:80 red light at 148.27. In the second pass in pro stock at the Super Nationals, it was Russ Nyberg against Dave Schultz. Dave Schultz in the left lane, Russ Nyberg in the right. Russ from Fort Myers, Dave from Fort Myers also. Good lead from both riders. Neck and neck, little squirrely in the right lane. It's Schultz, the winner, 8:58 in the left lane at 153.32 against Nyberg's not as quick time of an 8:76, 153.06. Now Superbike Mike Keaton, Lance Boyer. Mike Keaton the right lane, Lance to the left. At the finish, Mike Keaton the winner, an 8:44 at 159 against Lance Boyer's 8:86 at 150 miles an hour flat. Dave Newton now in the left lane. Marty Blades in the right lane. Marty from New Lebanon, Dave Newton from Newark, Ohio. Both Ohio boys. Both Kawasaki's and both ready to go. Bob Gwynn chops the tree for him. Bob, the official starter for this event. And right lane, Marty Blades, your winner, 8:61 against an 8:96 for Newton in the left lane. Next lap in Pro Stock, Jerry Myers against Stuart Hamby. Myers from Chardon, Ohio, Hamby from Orlando, Florida. Better reaction time for Hamby. But on the top end, Myers is your winner with an 8:46 at 152.54, and Hamby turned in an 8:69 at 150.75. Now George Price from America's Georgia in the right lane. Wendell Daniels from Detroit, Michigan into the left lane. You got a Suzuki in the right, Kawasaki in the left. Chop the tree down, boys. Good lead for both. At the finish line, it's George Bryce, the winner, 8:54 to an 8:86 for Daniels. Now Pizza John Mafaro from Saddlebrook, New Jersey on a Suzuki. That's a Vance and Hines Suzuki, by the way. He's against Lester Jenkins, and Lester Jenkins was not able to make the pass. So it's going to be a solo run for Pizza John. That means he's going to be able to kind of lay back, take it easy on the light. He doesn't have any competition. Maybe he can lay himself down a new record. He's going to do his best. He's taking it easy. Not as good a run as he'd like. An 8:45, not a new record. Now Dick Speed against Donald DeTurk. Dick Speed, sir, was his name, from Chicago, Illinois. Donald DeTurk from Ole, Pennsylvania. Dick Speed wound up your winner. DeTurk was not able to beat him out. And that was it for round one in Pro Stock. George Baber, Superbike Mike, Jerry Myers, Pizza John Mafaro, David Schultz, Marty Blades, George Bryce, and Dick Speed Serwa, your winners in round one. First round winners in Pro Gas: Bob Science, Phil Gordon, Tom Dygan, Frank Thierrys, Keith Crabtree, Jeffrey Mort, Steve Muller, Jerry West, Randy Pullum, Jim Jennifer, Norman Devine, Joseph Barnes, Joe Bubb, Craig Massey, Tom Sudman, Mike Phillips. Now in the quarterfinals, Randy Pullum comes up against Norman Devine. At the finish line, Pullum is a winner with a 9:26 against a 9:19. Reaction time is everything, my friends. It's who leaves first. Now Mike Phillips in the right lane, Craig Massey in the left lane. At the finish line, it's going to be Craig Massey, 9:25 against a 9:22. And in other quarterfinal action, Tom Dygan got Bob Science, Keith Crabtree down Steve Muller. Funny back round two, Bobby Baker got John Ball. 7:45 to a 7:47. Steve Tracy down Larry Reynolds. 7:50 to a shutdown 14:10. Then in the semifinals, it was Baker against Tracy. Bobby Baker, number 1 qualifier, right lane. Steve Tracy, number 10 qualifier, left lane. Baker Cowie, Tracy Suzuki. Both of them winding those turbos toward the top end, 1,320 feet away. And Bobby Baker's your winner with an 8:40, 149.25 to Steve Tracy's shutdown, 12:13, 88.32. Note that smoke in the right lane. Bobby's on the way back to the pits for a new engine. Other quarterfinal action, Mark Miller defeats Ron Ayers with a 791 to an 890. And Keith Lynn against Charles Israel. Sees Lynn the winner at a 7:55 to a 7:69 for Charles. Now the semifinal run between Lynn and Miller. Lynn in the right, Miller in the left. Off the line. Miller chops the tree with a 4.63 to Lynn's 5.35. At the finish, it's Keith Lynn, a 7.48 against a 7.60. That reaction time paid off. Time for the final eliminations at Warner Robbins Dragway, Warner Robbins, Georgia. It's raining only 3 miles away. It's going to be fast and furious, but not a single spectator left until it was all over. In competition eliminator, Doug Hart, John Pearson, Mark Gosling, and Rick Gibson won in the quarterfinals. Rusty McKenzie and Bob Jones in the semifinals. Dan Rudd was your runner-up, Gary Heyer the winner. Finalist in Super Eliminator, Tony Parsons of Independence, Virginia, Anna Suzuki. And Terry Starbody of Decatur, Illinois, on a Harley Davidson. Super Eliminator looked like this. Gary Godwin, Junior Pippin, Ronald Craig, and Phil Giovanelli were quarterfinalists. David Britz and Marcy Boyle, semifinalists. And in the finals, it's Parsons and Starbody. Harley in the left lane, Suzuki in the right lane. Parsons was number 8 qualifier in Super Eliminator. Starbody was number 13 qualifier. Each rider qualifying against a standard or a record that was set prior to or going in to the race. Starbody first out of the gate. That's because of the handicap. At the top end, it is the Harley Davidson, your winner. Starbody, and the Harley fans went absolutely crazy. On the way to the finals in Super Gas, Richard Urain down Smiley Wilson, setting it up so that the semifinalists in Super Gas were Bruce Sauer and Smiley Wilson, and Richard Urain of Virginius, Illinois is your winner, chopping down the tree with a 4.42 reaction time at 10:27, 118.89 to win against John Volpe's reaction time of 5.94 at 10:23, 124.30. Pro Gas semifinalists were Tom Dygett and Randy Pullum. In the Pro Gas finals, number 16 qualifier Craig Massey against number 7 qualifier Keith Crabtree. It was a red light for Massey, giving the run to Crabtree at a 9:28, 125.34 against that red lighted 9:17, 143.54. Birch, Jacksonville, Florida. Pete Barnhart, Akron, Ohio. Finalist in Super Comp. Super Comp came down like this. Quarterfinalists were Chris Iovine, Terry Hill, Curtis Story, Douglas Frierson. Semifinalists Paul Gast and Lauren Buckner. And in your finals, Billy Birch near lane, Pete Barnhart far lane. Billy Birch chopped the tree. At the top end, it was Birch your winner at an 8.65 against Barnhart's quicker 8.59. Super Nationals Pro Stock final time. Pro Stock, probably the most competitive class in motorcycle drag racing. Certainly the riders who are in this class want stardom the most, and they work for it. The number 4 qualifier, Pizza John Mafaro of Saddlebrook, New Jersey. Pizza John is sponsored by PJ Performance, Webcam, Vance and Hines Racing. Also by Angelo's Pizza. And if you're ever in Saddlebrook, you need to stop by Angelo's Pizza. Mamma mia! In the right lane, it's a number 3 qualifier, Superbike Mike Key to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Sponsored by his own company, Superbike Mike Engineering, and wrenched and supported 100% by his wife, Kathy. It's been a long, dry spell for Superbike Mike. 2 number 1 plates in Pro Stock under his belt. He wasn't able to qualify at the Spring Nationals in 1986. He was number 3 qualifier at the Super Nationals and is running well. It's going to be Superbike and Pizza John. Both of them riding Suzukis. Both of them finely built and finely tuned. Reaction time is probably going to tell the tale on this run. Is it going to be Mike Keat who responds quicker to that green light, or is it going to be Pizza John Mafaro? Let's see. Pizza John Mafaro's reaction time at 3:42 against Superbikes Mike's 4.98, and that tells the tale. Your winner will be beats a John Mafaro at an 8:33 against Superbike Mike's 8:47. Pro Comp semifinalists were Neil Lane and Willie Foster, setting it up for Steve Drake of Xenia, Ohio, to meet John Sachs Jr. of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Steve Drake was number 2 qualifier. John Sachs Jr., number 3 qualifier. Pro Comp finals. Reaction time, again, is going to be the important factor. Steve Drake chops the tree of his life, a reaction time of 3:97 against a 6:13 for John Sachs Jr., setting it up for the final to be Drake at 8:19 against a quicker 8:12 for Sachs. Super Nationals Funny Bike Finals. Bobby Baker meets Keith Lynn. This is the only eliminator in the entire race in which number 2 qualifier met number 1 qualifier. You remember Bobby Baker showed smoke on the semifinal pass? He wasn't able to make the repairs, so Keith Lynn came down for a solo funny bike win and turned in a beautiful 7:51 at 182.55 miles an hour. And that's it for the Super Nationals 1986 from Warner Robbins, Georgia. For more information about this race or any other information you need to know about the International Drag Bike Association, call or write IDBA 3936 Raceway Park Road, Mount Olive, Alabama 35117. The phone number again, 205-849-7886. That's 205-849-7886. (1986), a new beginning for the International Drag Bike Association National Championship Series. It's going to take place at Greensboro, North Carolina, April 26th and 27th, and you're there. Piedmont Dragway in Greensboro, North Carolina. And Dora Turner, the track operators, welcome the family of motorcycle drag racing to their fine facility for the very first time. It's a great turnout. It's a great turnout of spectators and participants, and there's a brand new eliminator to start this program. It's called Super Cup. It's a heads-up eliminator. 5:40 is the standard against which it's run in the 8th mile, and it's 8:20 in the quarter mile. Qualifiers: Wayne Haydock from Spartanburg, South Carolina, qualified at number 1 place with a 5:40. Perry Fink was number 2 qualifier. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio, with a 5:403. Number 3 qualifier was Bill Hahn Jr. of Aurora, Illinois, with a 5:420. Number 4 qualifier, Pete Barnhart of Lancaster, New York. Pete qualified with a 5.442. Number 5 qualifier, Chris Ivan. Chris is from Evansville, Indiana, a 5.449, his qualifying time. Bob Cook was number 6 qualifier. He was from Chicago Heights, Illinois. Bob's qualifying time of 5.460. Number 7 qualifier, Paul Gast of Grand Island, New York, in with a 5.447. Paul Gast quite excited about this new eliminator. His company, Fastback Gast, built and designed and sponsors several of the bikes. Number 8 qualifier, Terry Hill with a 5.491. Number 9 is Newt Parks with a 5.494. Number 15, Dennis Hinton with a 5.968. Number 16, Kerry Yates with a 5.627. Number 10 qualifier was Billy Birch from Jacksonville, Florida with a 5.495. Number 11, Kevin Cadby, Palm Beach, Florida with a 5.506. Number 12 qualifier, Horace Wright Jr. Horace is from Lewisburg, North Carolina. He had a 5.567 qualifying his spot. Number 13 qualifier, Randy Stevens. Randy is from Savannah, Georgia, on a Suzuki. He had a 5.586 to qualify in that position. Number 14 qualifier coming up is David Cartwright. David is from Evansville, Indiana, on a Suzuki, qualified with a 5.617. First round of competition in Super Comp at the Spring Nationals. Greensboro, North Carolina, Super Comp first out ever in the history of motorcycle drag racing. First pair up, Wayne Haydock and Newt Parks. Parks in the far lane, Haydock near lane. At the end of 660 feet, the winner is Haydock. Next pass out, Ivan and Stevens. Your winner is Ivan. Third pass in Super Comp, Bill Hahn Jr., Kevin Kent. Listen to that turbo. Red light for Cadby and Hahn Jr., your winner. Paul Gast now, Dennis Hinton. Gast near lane. Gast chops the tree. 3:52 reaction time, 3:01 is perfect.
You see ball turn his head all the way around to the back.
Now Perry Fink and Billy Birch. It's Fink at the finish.
Left lane, Perry Fink got there first with 5.49. 5.49.
Bob Cook and David Cartwright. Cartwright near lane. Cartwright, you win.
Ryan Lane got there first 5.40.
Barnhart and Wright. Barnhart near lane. Now here's Wright. Barnhart's gonna nail it off the line. Come on, Pete. And Hill was the winner in the next pass against Kerry Yates.
Number 12, right lane was your winner with a 5.55 at 113.
An exciting first round for an exciting new eliminator, Super Comp. Quarterfinalist winners were Chris Ivan, Paul Gast, Perry Fink, and Pete Barnhart. In semifinal action, Paul Gast defeated Chris Ivan, and Pete Barnhart defeated Perry Fink. setting it up for a final run between Paul Gast and Pete Barnhart. At the finish line, it was Paul Gast the winner with a 5:46 at 122.78 against Pete Barnhart's 5:50.